All right, we're back here on In Focus talking agro-tourism. Farms welcoming people onto their land, giving them a chance to see where those groceries are grown. But what if the farm could actually come to you? Well, that is just a quick hop over to the Collar City. I'm joined by the manager of the Troy Waterfront Farmers Market, Steve Ridler, and the city's Director of Economic Development, Dylan Turek. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
All right, let's talk about the farmers market. It's been going on for 20 years. How has it evolved over time?
So the farmers market has been around for 20 years. This is the 20th season. It started with a handful of vendors on the waterfront, and it's grown to Riverfront Park, and then from Riverfront Park up onto the main street. Once it got on the street, everybody realized what a great thing it was to have this tied so closely to the businesses that are in downtown. So it's evolved both in location and vendors, the vendor mix, and also in the number. And now we're at close to 100 vendors right now.
Dylan, speak to that from a business perspective. Having businesses actually withstands there at the farmers market. It makes it very unique from that perspective.
It does. It's nice because the market is part of the community. So when it comes, it's not just sort of taking over the downtown. It's made up of members of the community. Steve and I both live in Troy. And you have a lot of people that are from Troy. And as a result, you have the community out to support their neighbors. And so when a farmer comes from even 20 miles away, 30 miles away, they might be right next to the shop owner who's also invited to be out in the street along with them. And it creates this sort of inclusive, dynamic place to be, and it's experience, really. It's all about experience.
Yes, Steve, I see you nodding excitedly.
Yeah, no,
this is really the whole.
And I think that's the main crux of this, is that we try and create that environment for the visitor that can as they walk through the market, they get to see what's there every day, and see it in the unique setting of the market, with vendors on one side of each other, storefronts coming out, doing their thing. They'll come back maybe another day. So that's one of the things that we're trying to do, is really get people to understand what's going on in Troy. So when you have the market on the street, the vendors come out, the market is then integrated with those retail outlets, and they bring their stuff out, and they bring the people into their store, and it's a really great mix. So.
Yeah, and Dylan, I mean, obviously, what is the spillover that you see from that?
I mean, it's tremendous. It comes in different ways. So part of it is you might get somebody who comes out to visit for the first time, and they come out specifically to be part of the market or see the market, and then they might come back a second night with their spouse for a date night at one of the restaurants. You also might see somebody maybe who's in charge of siting a new location for a business, or in charge of, maybe they're an entrepreneur looking for a place to start their business. There's a lot of different ways that the farmers market's a good first impression for Troy, but also for the region. We think of ourselves as a region, but we also think of ourselves as Troy having its unique identity that the market really is a great sort of first impression of.
Yeah, it's a great way to advertise what the city has to offer, right? And
Absolutely.
Make some money at the same time.
Absolutely, it's the best of everything.
Now, Steve, the interesting thing too about this market is so many farmers markets only take place during, I guess what you would say, during the agro-tourism season, which typically is spring into summer. But you guys just moved the farmers market inside. It goes year-round.
No, so we're year-round, and that started probably in the second or third year of the market, where they said, hey, we really would like to be down there. And one of the things that it really helps, it's so important to the vendors that come, that they have somewhere for an outlet in the winter. Just because October comes and the weather changes doesn't mean you don't have a lot of food left in your storage, and you've got people who can get it and come in and buy it. So the numbers drop off a little bit in the winter when we move inside. It's not the same festival as you find out on the streets, but in the Troy atrium it's a little tighter. But we still get a lot of people coming in, and those people come in and they still go out into the stores around, and everybody likes that Saturday feel. So they'll come do their shopping, they'll go off to the bookstore, they'll go to the coffee shop, and they have their favorite places that they hit at the same time as they're coming to the market. But the winter market is very, very important to the farmers, and it really helps them through some tough times.
Now, Dylan spoke to the fact that this is more of like a regional market. I grew up in Niskuna, so I think of it as the Troy Farmers Market, but it's really a regional market, and your vendors too come from diverse parts of the region.
Yeah, no, we have a preference for vendors to come from 50 miles, and if people are actually using products to make things at the market, we try and encourage them to be within a 100-mile radius. So we're very much, but even that's a big region. There's a lot of agriculture in those in the counties immediately surrounding Rensselaer County and Troy, and you start to look north to Washington County, and south to Columbia and down to Greene. So you have a good catchment, and there's a lot of farmers that are very keen to get into this market. It's very competitive, and we obviously can't have everybody in that we want to have in, but we think we have a good vendor mix, and we think we have a good product mix coming in that will make everybody want to come back. So that's what we're trying to do. We have the regular people who come every weekend. They come to shop. We have the other people come to socialize. You know, and Dylan and I had names for them at one point where we actually named which person was what. We have to give them a fancy name.
Professional shopper.
Professional shopper. Yeah, you know.
That might be me.
Yeah, well, the professional shopper comes in. They know where their stands are, and the worst thing you can do with a professional shopper is to just play with their heads a little bit and move the stall for one day.
Right.
It makes it sound like mice in a rabbit.
No, we don't do that. Professional shoppers out there, we don't do that. Don't worry. And then the people are the social butterflies that are flitting around, and then there's those that just come and hang out for ages. You know. We have music and we have children's events, and we try and get community tables to engage the community in there. So it's much more of a festival than just a market.
Yeah, and before we wrap up here, about a minute left, Dylan, how important is to have something like this where your main center of commerce is happening in the city? It's got to provide a huge influx.
Main commerce in terms of
downtown, you know, where people are centered.
Yeah, so it's super important, obviously, for a couple different reasons. But I would say, first and foremost, to have an historic setting like that, right? One of the things that we're so proud about in Troy is our historic downtown. The grid, the way it's laid out, it's on the riverfront. There's a beautiful park just below where River Street is, where it takes place. When we had conversations even a couple of months ago with the last board president and the current one as well, the idea is there's something magical about the market outside. And if you walk down Monument Square, it's palpable. It's in the air, it's in the experience, it's in the people in the street. And it's what sets, I think, this market apart from other markets, is that the setting is really, truly magical. And if you come out on a Saturday and you're not that familiar with Troy outside of that downtown,
sure,
on a beautiful summer day especially, you're more likely to walk down 2nd Street, 3rd Street, 4th Street, and get into some of those other neighborhoods and start to see that Troy really is a string of these beautiful pearls set on us. It's a set of beautiful pearls, I should say, set out like a necklace on a string. And we are really fortunate to be set along the Hudson River like that. So to have people come to the center enables them to really spread out and explore more as they could do it.
Well, I can't wait to do it myself this summer.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, it was a
Thank
pleasure.
you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming out. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
So do we.
All right, we're going to head back out to the farm when In Focus returns. We're going to get a look at how one family-run operation is expanding its offerings, including hosting a trip back in time to the Middle Ages. Stay with us.